question, and you will have, or first we'll have an opening statement. You'll have 2 minutes each to kind of introduce yourself, talk a little bit about your platform, and give your opening statement. Then we'll move into questions, and I'll be asking questions for both of you in the beginning, and you'll have 2 minutes to respond. And after each of you has responded to the question, you will have an additional minute for rebuttal if one of the candidates says something, if you'd like to disagree or refute something that one of the other candidates said, and then we'll move into individual questions for you guys, and then we'll move into a question and answer with the audience. Okay? Great, so we can go ahead and get started with your opening statement.
Hi, my name is Mohammed Al-Taib. I'm a freshman in the Mellon College of Science, studying neuroscience. Sorry, my voice is kind of iffy. It's pretty sick. But yeah, so I'm running for student body vice president of student organizations because I feel that I can help solve some of the problems I've encountered since being here. Despite it only being my second semester here as a freshman, I've been a part of a lot of organizations and gotten to take some leadership roles in an organization, and I've gotten a good idea of like what some problems that could potentially be fixed in the future. And if elected student body vice president of organizations, I hope to work with the committee and attempt to solve some of these issues I've noticed, pretty much.
Hi, my name is Hannah, and I am a rising senior in biological sciences and biomedical engineering. Since my freshman year, I've been involved in a couple different clubs, including Project Smile, running the mindfulness room in Greek life. I'm currently director of mature re-recognition for the Committee of Student Organizations, so I work directly with the student body vice president of organizations right now. And I have had leadership roles both in and outside of student government, so I've had leadership roles in the various clubs that I've been in. I was president of Project Smile, and I'm secretary of STAR of Activism for Everyone, which is a sexual assault awareness club. So.
I forgot to mention this earlier, but India will be keeping time. She'll raise her hand when you have 30 seconds left, and then she will say time when time is up. All right, so moving on to the first question for you guys. Well, we can start with you. Okay. Why do you think student orgs and creating new student orgs is important on campus?
I think that part of the CMU experience is being able to create and be a part of different organizations, and I think that the reason why it's so important to have a new organization process that's pretty ironed out is so that the organizations have the potential to last for a really long time after they're started. It's also very important that we have new organizations starting every year because there are such big changes in the world and on campus.
So as a freshman, I've noticed that it's extremely diverse here at Carnegie Mellon. Everyone has their own distinct personality, their own like what makes their own quirks and like their own traits that make them like different from everyone else. And I've noticed that like the creation of these organizations help expand and create like smaller communities within the larger community of Carnegie Mellon and help group people together, make amazing relationships between each other. I've seen like organizations that just got started like in the last semester, like the tricking organization, which is based off of like doing gymnastics and other like martial arts moves, and it's like really interesting because like one individual just wanted to find some friends who had similar abilities and they hang out together and then create an organization. So I just like the relationships that can be built through just building these small organizations are just like really, really important because they help make you a better person here at Carnegie Mellon and develop as a person.
Okay. We'll start with you for the next question, Mohammed. So VPO also serves as student government executive committee member. How do you feel you can benefit the executive committee, and do you have any initiatives you would like to discuss on the scale of the executive committee?
I haven't gone over all of the immense projects that's currently been working on by the executive committee, but I have thought of some ideas I could present to the committee itself, such as working to fix some of the programs that are currently used, like Space Quest, which is like the room reserving system, and I feel that that it's been worked on by previous vice presidents of organizations, but I feel that it could still be improved and made easier for people to use. So I think that's one initiative that could be started.
Yeah. So I kind of have the same thing with the whole Space Quest 25 guide. However, every VPO and VP and president has promised to change it in the past, and there's a reason. There's a reason why it's still here, and that's because it's very expensive to change, and it's such a it's ingrained within the CMU community right now. So instead of maybe changing the program that we use, we can invest in changing the user face to make it a little bit more user friendly, as well as I had another point, sorry. Making it user-friendly, as well as increasing training on 25 Live, so making sure that leadership in the organizations know how to use it, and as well as the advisors who advise these organizations, knowing how to actually book a room is really important.
A crucial part of the recognition process is the involvement of the COSO representatives. Excuse me. How will you prioritize when looking, or what will you prioritize when looking to form your committee, and what role will your committee members play?
Yeah. So right now I'm on COSO, and we have directors of young recognition, directors of mature re-recognition, which is what I am. And I think that having those are really great to have one central person to report back to that helps to organize everything for the vice president of organizations. But I also want to start implementing a representative for each kind of category of club that there is. So for example, having a service representative so that every service org can touch base with this person, as well as having this person who is the head of the category that their club fits into, help them gain footing in the CMU community, and reaching out to the different message boards that like CMU PACE is in charge of all of the service orgs, so, and new service orgs might not know, so having that connection. And I also want to find my COSO representatives, not through the personal organizations that I'm in right now, but instead going through the bridge and finding important leaders in these specific categories that I'm looking for, and talking to them and seeing if they have any recommendations for somebody that would be a good fit for the committee.
Yeah, so I understand that there is a re-recognition that needs to be necessary in COSO, so re-recognizing organizations every single year, as well as recognizing smaller ones. I think if elected, I would focus more on trying to help make the process of becoming an organization much more easier and less intimidating, and try to make it much more inviting for people who have ideas but just don't have enough support in order to get there. So I definitely try to have multiple individuals focus on reaching out to people who are interested in starting organizations, having some sort of event to bring ideas out and cultivate them a little better, and to make sure people have an opportunity to have an idea, have an opportunity to know that they at least have someone supporting them in their idea for an organization, even if it's despite any whatever idea it is. Yeah.
So this next question is for you, Mohammed. You mentioned in your platform about wanting to help smaller organizations establish themselves more on campus. How do you plan to go about helping smaller and newer organizations kind of really establish themselves?
Well, like I said, I'll try to have some elected officials that are specifically focused on making specifically focused on helping those smaller organizations get their footing and gain a platform for them to speak and help make sure that they have enough space and resources to develop as an organization in general, as well as hopefully creating eventually in the future, creating events to attract smaller organizations and attract people who are interested in starting organizations, and having more seminars and information sessions available for people who are interested in creating organizations, so they have the ideas and have the knowledge necessary to move on into the next step of creating an organization.
Okay. This next question is for you, Hannah. You also mentioned your platform wanting to determine like more proactively determine if organizations should no longer be recognized. How would you structure this?
This goes back to my point where I'd want somebody on the committee that's specifically appointed for that category so that they become specialized and they understand which orgs within their category are actually active and the ones that maybe only hold one event a year, or understanding the intricacies between them, because I think that putting that all on one person's shoulder is just not manageable. So delegating out to people as well as providing them with support.
This next question is for both of you. So room assignments and storage space and things like that are a big issue for a lot of organizations, making sure they have enough space and proper room allocations and things like that. How would you go about addressing concerns that organizations have about not having adequate space or room to?
Yeah, that's a problem that I've encountered in organization leadership, and a lot of times it ends up falling on the person in the organization to store it in their personal space, which probably isn't the best. I'd like to start doing room allocations every year instead of every other year, because I think that the organizations change so often in terms of their size and their need for space. So I think that if we're better at determining which organizations actually need so much space on a yearly basis instead of a bi-yearly basis, then it will help to solve some of those issues.
Yeah, so I've talked to a lot of organizations about like small things like the storage allocation and things like that, and like a lot of things they've just told me is that there's not a lot of communication between the committee and the organizations themselves. Like an email will be sent out, and then like 2 weeks, like 2 to 3 weeks later, they will get a response. And I hope that we can try to increase the communication between them, so we can between the committee and these organizations, so we can try to understand like their what they need like better, and try to just distribute like the resources that they need in a more efficient way for the future. So yeah, I'll definitely get to more of that.
This next question is for you, Mohammed. You mentioned previously about some of the issues you've noticed with Space Quest. What are some steps you would take to kind of remedy those issues if possible?
Well, I've already scheduled like, an appointment to talk to the current the vice president of organizations to get to know some of the problems that's going on with the current situation with Space Quest. I definitely want to see why there hasn't been a lot of like development in the program, and like why it's proving to be so difficult to make it like much more easier to navigate. So if elected, I would definitely try to understand what's going on with the whole, the program itself, and try to step off to the next, like move on to work to make the program better. The program, and
This next question is for you, Hannah. How would you plan to streamline the process of organization recognition?
So right now there are a lot of forms that are sent out at different times for organizations to fill out, and most of the time it's because the person who was director of whatever didn't get the form in on time that they could have sent it out with a previous form, so that there's one thing and we're not tracking down the same organizations over and over and over again to fill out a form and some of the forms even have very similar questions. So I'd like to just have like one form a semester to fill out instead of
Okay, so next question is for the both of you. Is there anything about the BPO position that you would change or do differently, and what are some things that you think work well?
So as I said before, just making sure to increase the communication between the BPO and organizations is just like really important. So you can just understand what the problems that they and just suggestions other organizations have for the role. I I don't have enough. Currently, I don't know that much about the position that I could currently understand like exactly what makes it like. Sorry. the position itself is in charge of like the 3 committees, and I feel that maybe electing someone else to also overlook some of the committees as well, like as having a chairperson in charge of each committee as well as yourself would try to help distribute the workload of the the VPO as well. That would also be somewhat helpful. Yeah.
So this year, the response time from submitting an application to becoming an organization has decreased significantly. So I'd like to continue that trend of decreasing the time that it takes. However, I do recognize that there probably is a limit to how much you can decrease that because like there's weekly meetings, and I'm not gonna, if I'm in this position, I wouldn't make my committee meet multiple times a week just so that they got instant gratification of getting in the club. And I think that if you are invested in making the club successful, you will put in the time and effort that it takes to wait the 20 days that it takes to become an organization.
So how do you both think some of your previous experiences on and off campus have helped prepare you for the role of VPO?
Well, I'm currently an active member of the Sigma Phi Epsilon fraternity, and as a brother of the fraternity, I have a role as a recruitment chair as well as a kitchen manager. And despite kitchen manager not seeming like a very important role, being in charge of the kitchen, it's a pretty it requires a lot of man hours in working in the kitchen, 2 to 3 hours a night, just going there to making sure everything's clean, coordinating people to come and clean the kitchen, organizing which brothers are in charge of per week of the kitchen cleaning and things like that. It requires a lot of tedious time, and just shows my dedication that I will have for this this role if elected as a VPO. As well as being recruitment chair requires a lot of leadership in coordinating events and making sure that brothers are there on time, and making sure all the necessary resources are at the events and everything's working out well. So yeah, that's currently what I'm.
So I've been in a number of clubs and held a lot of leadership positions, and I think that especially this time that I've had working on COSO and working directly with the current student body vice president of organizations has really equipped me to be able to handle the day-to-day aspects of this job. And I think that having the support of the people that will be on the committee will also be very beneficial if I'm able to create the committee that I'm hoping to.
What do you think is the biggest asset you bring to the table that is maybe different from other VPOs, or just kind of makes you different from Europe?
Well, I'm a freshman, as I said before. I have not a lot of experience here. I've only been my second semester at Carnegie Mellon, but I feel that my willingness to learn and work, my dedication towards just working towards a goal is just I feel it is my strongest attribute. And if elected, I will strive to always be better and always always put in the hard work necessary for the job. And so I feel that that's my strongest trait.
I think that all the experience that I've had is probably the biggest thing that's going to help me in this position. I think that the combination of being in leadership on the organization side first and going through all of the forms and all the processes that you have to do, and then flipping that and being on the reverse side where I'm approving these applications and I'm working with the people on the organizations to try to get them recognition, I think sets me apart.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to question and answer from the audience. If you have a question, I guess you can just raise your hand and stand and say your name and state your question.
So one of the shifts that we've seen in the Student Government Executive Committee this year is we're tackling more cultural and political and large-scale problems that manifest on this campus. And it's presented an interesting problem for the VPO and the VPF, as both positions are on paper pretty narrowly defined roles, and they have obligations and duties. But they're put in this position where we were addressing the impacts of immigration bans on our campus, and how does that play into student organizations? So I'd like to hear each of your comments on how you see your role impacting the Carnegie Mellon community outside of the organization space.
Yeah. So if similar things happen to what happened, or there are major cultural shifts, as I anticipate there probably will be in the next couple years, I'd really like to, before we send out any official communications or make an announcement, I'd really like to align with the executive board what exactly our goals are for it. For example, with the immigration ban, I'm sure one of your main goals was to make sure that everyone on the campus feels included and safe. And I think coming up with the main goals and aligning them with everyone on exec is an important step before going out. And I know it's a difficult position to be in because a lot of students look up to you as a role model on campus, and I think that leading by example is a good thing too, and making sure that you are also being active and making everyone feel comfortable because you are a figurehead.
Yeah, so in response to things like the immigration ban, a lot of organizations on campus, there's some that can feel very threatened by and just the students themselves, of course. And so I guess just making sure we just raise awareness to our goal of equality in Carnegie Mellon, our values that we share at Carnegie Mellon, just to emphasize the points that we despite the country aligning one way or the other, we as a community as a whole, we value these things, and that is equality and just making sure that everyone is treated equally and fairly, and not like suffered by like racism or prejudice, things like that.
Hi, so you both have spoken about new organizations and mature organizations. I'd like to talk about some young organizations, maybe like 1 to 6 years old for a second. A lot of organizations find some trouble there with finding the resources, membership, and kind of outreach that they'd like at that stage of their existence on this campus. Do you have any thoughts about how you might want to support groups like that to find resources that they need?
Just I guess talking to the community and just making sure we can have people dedicated to focusing on the smaller organizations, and making sure that there's a lot of communication. Like I said before, some organizations that have just come out of from the last semester just don't feel like they're getting enough attention from the committee, and so just making sure that they have enough attention, and they're getting their problems, they're getting their all the things that they're suffering from, all the issues that they're facing out to the committee, and at least we're hearing them and giving them some sort of response to them is the biggest thing I think we can do in terms of.
Like I said, if somebody on the committee is dedicated to philanthropy and service, they can give some tips and see, because they've probably seen how their service organization has grown in the last couple of years. So giving tips from a personal standpoint from somebody who's in a similar kind of organization but with a different mission. I think that the committee currently offers a lot of support to members, including assigning a personal rep to every single new organization. So maybe for young organizations, if they don't feel supported enough, also making sure that they know who on the committee to contact if they have some sort of a problem.
All right, so sometimes organizations aren't really cooperative. They don't really respond to our the emails of this COSO. How would you try to improve the communication so that these processes are going as smoothly as possible?
I think that there's really only so much that we can do from our end, because if we are sending out email after email trying to get them to fill out the form that they need to, or send us the constitution for their club, and they're not being responsive, then obviously the club isn't a priority to them. So I think that really finding the value of each organization and seeing if it should actually continue to get student or government recognition, because that kind of, I think, gets taken for granted a little bit. So, but I as the committee is currently, to my knowledge, very responsive to emails within the week, definitely. And I think it's 42 hours after we first vote on things that they get their result of the vote. So, lots of communication.
Yeah, so similar to what she said, just making sure that the organization has their just making sure that they are actually like taking their organization itself seriously, and making sure that they like accommodate to all the rules and regulations, and making sure that they contact the committee regularly, and making sure that there's a fluid communication between the two of them is extremely vital. And I feel that if that's not the case, that there needs to be some sort of like repercussions in terms of like she said, or the funding, or how many resources we're offering them in return.
Hi. So as student body vice president for organizations, you are elected to represent and advocate for organizations across the student body, which includes both grad and undergrad students. So both of you are undergrad, so I was curious as to how do you plan to work with grad students, and how has your experience at the school in the years will help you with that?
As a member of the Sigma Phi Epsilon fraternity, I've talked to multiple graduate students who are also part of the fraternity, and I've gotten a good idea of like just some of their thoughts about the school itself, of course. And I feel that my communication through Greek life will offer me some more insight on like how the graduate students of Carnegie Mellon are operating, and things like that, so I can get more of a better understanding of like of how they think the system is running currently.
So I think the Graduate Student Assembly is a really great resource for student body vice president of organizations, because they are really the voices of the graduate students at CMU, and I think that it's really hard for graduate students to feel disconnected from the university as a whole. So I think increasing communication with GSA, having multiple conversations with the president of GSA to find out how they're feeling about organizations, and seeing if they need any additional resources that maybe an undergraduate organization wouldn't need, or wouldn't need as much.
What do you see as the future of the collaborative side, which is under the SBVPO?
The collaborative fund in the future, you mean?
Yeah, so just to give a little bit more background, it is not in the bylaws. It doesn't really have any formal structure in regards to its continuity. It can change, or it can cease to exist. It's all up to the future VPOs. And I was just wondering how you see its impact on other organizations, and whether you see it continuing, and what changes you may have for it.
I think that personally, as VPO, I would keep the fund. I think that it's a really good benefit to both the university and to the person in the office to have that power to influence a movement, or help an organization that they feel has a very promising aspect but needs funding to reach some of their goals. So I think that I would keep it, because I think that the person that's typically in the VPO office is somebody who's pretty well connected with the campus and knows if there is an org that wants something like that they can't do.
I honestly don't know that much about it, so I'd have to do some more research before I can make an assessment on whether or not it should stay or go.
Okay, well, if there are no more audience questions, we can go ahead and you guys can give your closing statements, just kind of wrap up, maybe mention any last things about your platform that you just mentioned. We don't have 2 minutes.
So yeah, thank you guys for listening so far. I really appreciate it. I understand I lack a lot of experience that Hannah has, but I feel that with my current the current activities that I've currently been a part of, and the current leadership skills that I've taken part, and also my dedication towards this task and any goal in general, I feel that if elected, I will work in my hardest to achieve the goals and fix the problems that I've been noticing around campus in terms of like the relationship between the organizations and the committee. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming and listening. I know it's a really packed crowd in here. But yeah, just I love student organizations. I think that they are so vital to CMU and the passions that people have in and outside of their department or their major. So being able to continue to serve the organizations and helping them really connect with the CMU community would be just an incredible honor to have. So thank you for listening.
Thank you both candidates. We'll be having our next debate will be at 6:30 for the Vice President of Finance. Thank you guys.